Hello friends, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am all about the fabulously versatile Timeless Arrangements bundle from the Stampin' Up! 2023-2024 annual catalog. I had to think about that for a second. We're getting ready to start the 2023-2024 school year, and my head is kind of in two worlds right now. We're getting ready for school, and I'm still focusing on my Stampin' Up! Business, and this always happens at the end of the summer when I go from just working one job to working two. But anyway, today we are all about this amazingly versatile bundle. So many things that you can do with this, from really simple cards to really layered, stepped up cards. You're going to see the full gamut from me today. And for many, many seasons, because it's as easy as changing out the color palette to change the season for whatever you want to make. So I'm going to show you 3 cards. We're going to look at the bundle. I have a couple other samples I'm just going to show you and talk about. And yeah, so let's pull up my video and see who is watching. I'm pulling it up here on my iPad so I can see comments. Hi, Laura. How are you? We missed you at our meeting last night. All right, so we are, as I said, all about timeless arrangements, and I'm going to flip my camera. I'm going to show you where to find it in the catalog. Again, it's a standalone bundle, not part of a suite, so it's easy to miss this one. I find sometimes bundles just sort of sneak under our radar because we're so focused on all of the fabulous coordinating products and all the product suites. So I'm going to show you where to find it, and then we're going to get to some stamping, okay? Here we go. All right. Hello, Laura from Ohio. We've got Laura and Laura here today. Welcome to both our Lauras. So here we go. Here is where you will find it in the catalog. It's on page 67. It's a pretty spread, but again, easy to miss. It's under the love, thanks, and support category because honestly, most of the sentiments are appropriate for thank you cards. So if you are someone who makes a lot of thank you cards, and that would be me, I make a ton of them. This is a great set because you can mix and match the various parts of the sentiments to create something a little bit more customized. So let's have a closer look. Put this out of the way. So here we go. Here is our stamp set. So as you can see, we have tons of different sentiments. So you can mix and match to make whatever sentiment of thanks that you want. And they all can be combined to fit in these label dies. So these look like really simple rectangle dies, but they have this really cool stitching effect. You'll see it. I'll show you up close on one of the die cuts in a few minutes, but it gives this really cute stitch border. And of course we have open dies that coordinate with the stamped images, but then we also have a ton of additional dies to create beautiful arrangements. So if you're like me and you like floral arranging, even if they're paper flowers, this is a fantastic set. Now people ask me, why do the dies look so funny? They have these weird rectangles on them. Why didn't they just leave the dies like this? Well, that's to make it really quick and easy to arrange them. So having this little tab here makes it really easy to slap a little glue on and stick that onto the back of a label or a layer on your card. And it makes for really quick assembly. You'll see that in action today as well. So that is our bundle. So let's get to some stamping. First one we're going to do is a pretty simple one, a bit monochromatic. I am loving the return of Lost Lagoon and Pretty Peacock. They have taken up residence in my heart in the spot that I had reserved for soft succulent and evening evergreen. And I got to say, I'm not really missing those two colors because these ones are filling that gap. So this one, again, really monochromatic. Starts out with a piece of basic white cardstock that's 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And then I've used another hidden gem from the catalog. This is a standalone die set. I'm actually going to flip to it so you can see it. It's called Brilliant Backgrounds. It's way down here on page 162. There are several dies in the catalog that aren't part of a bundle. They just kind of stand alone, and this is one of them. And there's 2 different dies in this set. This first one is a sort of cool argyle pattern, and I absolutely love it. It creates a really subtle little bit of texture on your background. So we're going to start by actually adding a little bit of color to this. So I'm going to bring in my Lost Lagoon ink pad. And my blending brush. Hi, Betty up there in Cochrane. How are you doing? I hope the bugs aren't carrying you away up there. All right, so we're just going to take and add a little bit of Lost Lagoon, and you're going to see that that pattern really comes to life. Now, look at the difference. Can you see the difference here? This one I die cut after I did my blending. This one I obviously die cut before. Can you see the difference? You see how the pattern really comes out a lot more if you do your die cutting before you do your blending. That was something that I noticed with this die, and I thought I would point that out to you because I think it's pretty cool, the different effects that you can get. So I'm just going to add a little bit of ink, sort of top right and bottom left corners on my background panel here. I just love the way that pattern, and look at, as I'm blending, you want to make sure you go in both directions. Otherwise you're going to get those lines from your blending brush because of the pattern that is die cut into the cardstock. So we're just going to go over that. They'll disappear as I add a little bit more ink and change the angle that I'm coming at it. Oh, no bugs, Betty. That's awesome. I thought they would be extra bad up that way. I guess it's late in the season, though. They're probably pretty much done. We are heading up this weekend up to Parry Sound to see my parents. We're doing my mom's 80th birthday celebration. You may recall back in January, I had asked for a card shower for her 80th birthday, and many of you sent cards. And but January is not a great time to be driving up in Northern Ontario. So we planned her big event for this weekend. So we are getting together, the entire family. It's a surprise to her, so don't tell her. We are getting together and going to have a great celebration. All right, so I've done my blending. Now I'm going to come in with this sort of texture stamp. I'll just show you what the stamp image looks like on the stamp set. It's this one here. It looks kind of like bubbles. And so I'm going to stamp that several times in some of this empty space in the corners. So again, this is kind of similar to the effect of a spatter stamp. It just adds that extra little bit of texture. There we go. That's all there is to that. You know what? I'm going to come up a little bit further here. And a little bit further here. I'm not going to worry come up too high because that's going to get covered with my arrangement. But there we go. There is our background. Okay. Now we're going to add a little bit of this beautiful Lost Lagoon ribbon. This is the Lost Lagoon, what's it called? Bordered ribbon. I don't know how that's bordered. It looks kind of like a faux linen to me. It kind of has that effect. Now this is going to go on across the card front a little bit below center. Okay. It's that whole rule of thirds thing. You don't want your things to be perfectly centered on your card. It's more aesthetically pleasing if you work in sections of 3 rather than sections of 2. Okay, so there we go. There is our ribbon. We're going to go ahead now and add that to our card base. So my card base is a piece of pretty Peacock cardstock, 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we'll go ahead and fold that in half along our score line. And then we're going to add a little bit of seal. Now I'm using seal because, again, with the die cut, you do not want liquid glue because you're going to have a very sticky card front. You don't want that glue to be oozing through the little die cuts in your your die cut card front. Okay, so there we go. Now we are going to work on our arrangement. So let me just dump out the rest of my bits here. I have die cut one of the labels, so I'll hold that up so you can see it. You can see the stitched border, and it's got these extra little X's in the middle on each side, which is a cute little effect. So we are going to stamp our sentiment that is going to say thank you very much. So I'm going to stamp thank you and then very much using basic gray ink. So we'll start with our thank you. So thank you is going to go, I got to move this down, guys, sorry. We're going to start with our thank you in the upper left corner, and then we're going to add our very much, right side up hopefully, in the lower right. And the nice thing about that is you can arrange your sentiment to fit in the space that you have. And as I said earlier, you can customize it really easily. Okay, so that is going to get layered on a piece of Lost Lagoon cardstock. So this is cut to fit behind this little die cut. It's cut to 1 by 2.5. All right, so that is going to layer quite nicely behind that little guy. Looks a lot lighter ribbon. I'm not sure what you mean, Laura. It's a faded kind of, it looks like a sort of a distressed linen look. This ribbon, it's really quite pretty and very, very soft and easy to tie. All right, so I have some little sprigs here that I've cut using the dies. I've actually cut it from the Bright and Beautiful DSP. So there are several sort of washes of various colors in that pack. So I've used the Lost Lagoon and the Pretty Peacock. So we're going to start by just adding this first little sprig to the back. Now, I could put it way up here, but I don't want my leaves to stick out that far. So I'm actually going to put it a little bit lower. So we're just going to add a little bit of glue there. And this is how quick and easy it is to create your arrangement. Just by adding that little bit of glue, there you go, quick and easy. All right, so then we're going to add this little guy. I'm going to offset it a little bit, and it's going to go, we'll go right about there. Now, you know what? I'm going to trim this off. I don't want this little guy sticking out the side. We'll use him somewhere else. We're going to put that one right there. Okay, and then this little guy is going to kind of stick up in the middle there. So again, little dab of glue there. And we'll pop this one on right there. Yes, I like that much better. Okay, and then I have some of the individual little sprigs. Now these ones you can put on with some seal or glue dots. I'm just going to throw a little bit of seal in that bottom corner. And we're just going to add these little guys, 1 and 2. And then this one again, I'm going to trim. I only want to use part of this die cut. So again, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on there. And then we're going to pop that on right there. And there we go. How quick and easy was that? Super quick. All right, so that's going to get popped up on the front of our card. So we'll add a couple of dimensionals to the back of our little arrangement here. And we're going to put this on. I wanted to see some of the ribbon peeking out from under my label. So I'm going to put it on right about there. Okay. And then we're going to tie a cute little bow. Oh, good. I'm glad you can see, Laura. I always wonder when I have to move way down on to see what I'm stamping. I always worry that it's going to be too hard to see. Thank you for that. All right. So there is my sweet little bow. My ribbon scissors are not close at hand. So I'm using my very not sharp. These are the ones that my husband has been using on packing tape. My paper snips, so they are not great. So we'll just have to make do with not super crisp cuts. And then our last touch are some of these fabulous adhesive back sequins. We're going to add a few of these. These are in Pretty Peacock, which just makes them the perfect little accent on this color palette. So we kept it nice and monochromatic all the way through. And there we go. Done and done. Super quick and easy. On the inside, I just did a little bit more blending and stamped a few more of that bubble image just to bring a little bit of the outside in. So there we go. That's number 1 done. I'm going to clean up my mess here. And we're going to move on to number 2. All right, number 2 is one I posted earlier today. You know, if you've been watching my videos for any length of time, how much I love fall. And so this is actually the very first card I made with this bundle because I'm all about fall colors right now. And so I immediately gravitated towards making a fall themed card. So I kind of went over the top. I mentioned this is the very first one I made with this bundle. So I cut a whole bunch of the die cuts and then decided to use every single one of them on my card. So it's a very, very full bouquet here, but we may pare it down a little bit as we're working. We'll see how it goes. All right, so to start, let me just get all my little bits out here. I have a piece of, this is the One Horse Open Sleigh, online exclusive designer series paper. I am loving the patterns in this pack. I just can't stop using it. This wood grain is perfect for a fall or rustic looking card. So this is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it's the size of a card front. You'll notice there's no border on the front of my card. Okay, so it's going to cover my entire card front. So we're going to actually start by adhering a little bit of this fabulous, what is this, like woven ribbon? I can't remember what they call this. It's escaped me right now. But we're going to go ahead and stick some of that right across the front of the card. So I'm actually going to put just a little smidge of seal to hold this down. It's going to go right across there. And then I'm going to add a couple of glue dots as soon as I figure out where I put them. There they are, hiding under my dimensionals. And wrap this ribbon around the back side of my panel here. And that's going to hide my ends so that when I stick this onto my card, I'm not going to see those sort of messy ends on my ribbon. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stick this onto our card base right away. This is a thick, very vanilla card base, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Okay. Oh, you made it, Deb. I'm glad. I'm sorry I snuck on. I don't know why you're not getting a heads up that I'm live. That's kind of strange. All right, so we're going to go ahead and I'm adding just a little bit of seal where the ribbon is, and the rest I'm going to adhere with liquid glue. And that again is just to make sure that I can wiggle this into position. Because I'm going to be covering my entire card front, I want to make sure it lines up well. So I'm going to open this up. And when I'm doing this, I tend to like to start with the bottom, and I line up the bottom edge and then my sides. Okay, to make sure that I get a nice, everything lines up nicely. Okay, now do you see how this is a little bit wider? Can you see that little bit of gap there? So we're going to clean that up with my magical little guillotine trimmer. So I'm just going to stick this in and trim that ever so slightly. Oh, you know what? I better wait. Might have to take apart my ribbon. Otherwise, I'm going to chop my ribbon. We'll just pretend that that lines up perfectly for now. I don't want to run the risk of chopping my ribbon. All right, so there we go. Now, we are going to build on our label once again. So this is a slightly larger label, cut with the dies once again. And we are going to stamp, this time, a very big thank you. So same thank you stamp that we used on the last card. But again, we're changing up our sentiment by changing up some of the words. So I'm going to start again. I'm going to pull this way down and start with a very big towards the top. And then thank you right below. And hopefully straight. Okay, it's a little bit high, but that's okay. I can live with that. All right, now, can you see all of these little bits? So I started with some stamped and die cut images from the stamp set. So this is the leaves here are stamped in Mossy Meadow and colored in light Mossy Meadow ink with my Stampin' Blends. So these ones I'm going to add with a little bit of seal. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on the bottom or on the back of my label here. And I'm just going to add a couple of these to start. I'll save that last one for later. Now I'm going to come in with some of my other images. So these little guys are cut from Cherry Cobbler cardstock. Come on. Actually, no, let's add a couple of these little berry guys. So these ones are stamped in Early Espresso and colored in light Wild Wheat. So we'll add that one there. And maybe this guy up top. Oh, that one doesn't want to stick. Let's put a little bit more seal on there. There we go. And then we'll add this guy here. Okay, now we're going to fill in with some of our other pieces. So I'm going to offset this a little bit so I see more of that. So we are going to need to add some glue. So again, the easiest way to work with these little die cuts is just a little smidge of liquid glue. And then you can position them wherever you like. Okay, and then we'll add another one down here. Once again, I'm going to cut this. I find sometimes I like to cut them because I want to see more than just the single sprig. that you get when you see this little guy. That one I feel like is not enough. It needs to be fuller. So I like to trim these down sometimes. Sorry, my voice is going really croaky all of a sudden. Just gonna take a quick sip of water. Oh, thanks, Peggy. Yeah, the font in this set is really nice, Laura. It's modern. It reminds me a little bit of primary printing. Not quite, but it's just very, very simple and pretty. So once again, I'm gonna trim this down and just start building my arrangement. Like, there's really not a wrong way to do this. So we'll put this one here. We're gonna add this guy over here. Now we could stop there, right? It's quite pretty that way, but what the heck, let's keep going. Because you know me, more is better, right? It may cost me $10 to mail my card, but that's all right. Handmade card is worth it. We'll add one there. And a little bit more glue here. We'll add a bit of greenery up here. And we need a little bit of Cajun Craze. So we're going to trim this one. I should mention the green is Mossy Meadow. The yellow is Wild Wheat. And we've got our Cajun Craze here as well. There's that one. We'll put another one down here. Right about there. And then I'm going to add this other little wheat bit. Wheat berries, I'm not sure what that is, but I'm going to add it towards the top. Pop it in over here maybe. Kind of like it coming up behind the leaves there. And then we'll add one more set of leaves to the back over here, and I think that's going to be enough. I think we will stop while we're ahead. There we go. Got some leftovers for another card. So that is going to get popped up on the front of our card base. So we're going to add, uh-oh, internet is not working. I'm sorry, Deb. That's frustrating. I know all too well how frustrating that is. You can always catch the replay. That's what replays are for. I'm going to add just a couple of dimensionals to the back of some of my greenery. None of this is going to be visible, but that's just going to help make sure everything is nice and secure on the front of my card. So we're going to just pop this up, centered and hopefully straight. Okay, and then this little kinky ribbon or twine here is actually from this trim. So I simply just pulled the trim apart and you end up with this sort of double strand of twisty ribbon or twisty twine. So I'm going to just go ahead and tie a bow and tidy up my loops. I want my loops to be fairly large. Sometimes when you get twisty twine, the twists don't quite coordinate with where you want the loops of your bow to go, so you have to kind of force the issue a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and glue that on, and we're going to give it a little bit of a haircut. So we'll tack that on there, and it actually works that my sentiment's a little bit higher because I can move my ribbon or my bow inwards a little bit. And there we go. Okay, and then we're going to add some copper adhesive back sequins. So we'll grab a couple of these and tuck them in. Now I like to sort of make them part of my arrangement. So I'm kind of tucking them in behind so they kind of add a little bit of shimmer and sparkle to my arrangement rather than sort of being off floating in space on my card. I'm going to actually add them so that they sort of intersperse a little bit. There we go. How do you like that one? Now on the inside of this one, I stamped another sentiment and some more greenery. Now I need to mention, if you are going to stamp and color inside your card base, you want to make sure you're not coloring with Stampin' Blends, okay? Because Stampin' Blends will bleed through and you will see it on the back of your card base. I've got all kinds of mini dimensional backings on the back of this. So I actually colored these with my Stampin' Write markers. Okay, so you just want to make sure, just don't forget, because I have forgotten in the past and ended up with a mess on the back of my card. You want to make sure that you're coloring with Stampin' Write, not Stampin' Blends. Okay, so they don't bleed through. All right, so that's that one. And finally, the other thing on my mind as I wait and wait and wait and wait for my pre-order box to get here, it's been a little bit of a saga around that whole mess. Haven't got most of my order yet, but that's okay. It'll come eventually. Well, if not, Christmas is coming. I have Christmas on my mind, so I thought I would show you how to make a really pretty Christmas card using this bundle as well. So let's get to this one. All right, so I started with a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock, 4 by 5¼ inches. And then I ran it through my die cutting machine twice with the border die from the Labels Aglow dies. Okay, now those are a carryover item from last year's holiday catalog. So I ran it through once and then flipped it around, ran it through the second time to get that sort of peek through kind of confetti effect. And then we are going to take some of this more dazzling specialty paper and we're going to glue it behind, and look at the way that that peeks through and sparkles. Isn't that fantastic? Oh, love it. All right, now I did cut this. There we go. We're going to glue it that way. This is a 4 by 4 piece of the specialty paper. So I'm going to go ahead and add some glue above and below my die cut pattern. And then I'm going to line this up and stick her down. Okay, so there is my background. Isn't that pretty? Oh, love it. Now we're also going to do a little bit of stamping on this. So I'm going to bring in my bubble stamp again. I don't have my chamois over here, so we're just going to stamp that off really well. Make sure most of that Lost Lagoon ink is off. And I'm going to bring in some cherry cobbler ink, and we are going to stamp the bubbles along the top and bottom edges of her card front. So there's one. I may actually go up a little higher on this one. Okay. So that again just adds a little bit of interest to that empty space at the top and bottom. Now we are going to layer on a little bit of yet another pattern of the One Horse Open Sleigh Designer Series paper. So this piece is cut to, what is it, 1 by 4 inches. So it is just a little scrap that is going to go across that middle section. So we're going to add a little bit of glue to that and pop this on right across the middle and hopefully straight. There we go. Okay, then that is going to get glued onto our Mossy Meadow card base, 4¼ by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5½. So we'll fold that in half along our score line and add some glue to the back of our panel here. And I think I'm going to do it this way. We're going to pop this on just like that. Okay, isn't that pretty already? Like, you could leave it and just stick a sentiment on and call it a day. But we're all about this fabulous bundle, so we're going to use the die cuts in the bundle. Now, this label is also cut using the Labels Aglow dies, and I've used the Brightest Glow stamp set to stamp my sentiment. So it's stamped in heat embossed in gold, and then I've got a whole bunch more die cut bits. So we are going to do a little bit of arranging once again. So I'm going to start again with my stamped images. So these are stamped and heat embossed in gold and then colored using Stampin' Blends. The leaves are in light wild wheat and these little berries are in light cherry cobbler. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of seal to the back of my label for a moment here so that we can add our leaves here. Now, you do want to take care as you're doing this. Keep in mind this label is just about the same width as our card. So we don't want our bits and pieces to extend too far out from the end of the label. Otherwise, they're going to be difficult to get into the envelope. All right, so we've got that. Let's add some greenery. So we'll just add a little bit of glue here. Come on. There we go. And we're going to pop this one on here. And again, we're going to layer it a little bit lower, not right flush with the top of the card, but a little bit lower. And same thing on this end. A little bit of glue. And pop that one on. Okay, and then we're going to fill in with some other bits and pieces. So this time I'm going to trim this one down once again. This is Cherry Cobbler. So we're going to trim this and add this little guy. Add this one down here. And we're going to add this guy up top. Oh, just put my finger in the glue. That was not smart. Oh, don't like where that is. Let's put that over there. There we go. And then let's add our little red berries here. I'm going to use some glue dots for those. Isn't that sparkle amazing, Peggy? It's so pretty. I love that paper. And it's really easy to do with that peek through die to add that extra little bit of bling. So we'll add this little one, I think is going to be on top. There we go. And then we're going to trim this one up. So again, die cut from the same paper. And I am going to use glue dots on this just because this paper has some weight. It will work with liquid glue. You just have a little bit longer time to set. And you guys don't want to sit here and watch glue dry. At least I don't. You probably don't either. So we're just going to add these little sparkly bits down at the top and bottom. Just with a glue dot. Pop that one on. Where are we going to put this guy? We're going to have him coming down here like that. Okay, so that is going to get glued. Now this just feels like we need to add this little bit of greenery here. Where are we going to put this one? Kind of feel like it needs to go up there. All right. So here we're going to pop this guy on up here just to fill that in a little bit. That's better. All right, so that is going to get popped up on the front of our card with a couple of dimensionals. So 1 and 2, and I'm going to trim a little bit here because my sheet is empty. Time for a refill. So we'll get rid of our backings and pop this on. So that's just going to get centered on our card front. Just like that. Okay, and then the last touch is to add, or second last I should say, is to add some of our gold self-adhesive snowflakes, another online exclusive. So I'm going to put one. Oh, yeah, there is sticky on that. I thought for a second it wasn't sticky. And then we're going to add one up here, and then another one down here. And then, because I like my bling, we're going to add a little gold festive pearl to the center of each snowflake, just to finish them off nicely. I think the reason I like the pearls on here is because I don't like the little hole in the middle of the sequin. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being uptight. All right, there we go. There is our finished card. You like that one? Again, these dies make it so quick and easy to arrange your greenery. It just comes together super fast. So I'll show you what I did on the inside here. I just did a little bit more stamping. Now this time I did color with Stampin' Blends because it was a layer. It wasn't directly on my card base. Stamped another sentiment from the Brightest Glow stamp set. And that is our finished card. So let me bring back the other two. So there's 1 and 2 and 3. And I'll show you a couple more ideas. So we are still in summer, so I had to make a summery card with some cheerful, bright colors and gingham. I love my gingham. So there is a nice, bright, cheerful card for you. Posted that one, I think, yesterday. And then this one, super simple. Very, very clean and just really, really delicate. So this one I've used the Delightful Doily Hybrid Embossing Folder just as an embossing folder to emboss my background panel. And then my greenery here, all my little sprigs are actually cut from vellum that I colored with my Stampin' Blends. I'm actually going to shoot a reel on how to do that because it's really, really quick and easy. And you can get any custom colored vellum that you'd like just by using your Stampin' Blends. So really, really delicate and soft, but totally different look for this awesome bundle. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed these cards. We're done a little bit early today. I was quick. Didn't do so much talking. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed these projects, and I will see you again next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.